title: The Lantern Keeper of Misty Hollow. Part 1. The fog that never left. In the quiet little town of Misty Hollow, there was a fog that never seemed to go away. It wasn't the kind of soft morning mist that burned off when the sun rose. This fog stayed thick, curling around lampposts, hugging the cobblestone streets, and sometimes even seeping into houses through tiny cracks in the windows. The townspeople had long grown used to it. They would walk with lanterns at night, the warm yellow glow barely cutting through the swirling gray. But there was one place in town where the fog seemed heavier, almost alive. Down by the riverbank, an old wooden bridge led to a crumbling watchtower. No one went there anymore. The bridge creaked dangerously underfoot, and the tower leaned slightly, as though bowing to some unseen force. But the real reason people avoided it was the lantern keeper. No one knew his real name. He was just the lantern keeper, an old man who wore a long coat and a wide-brimmed hat, carrying an ancient lantern that never went out. Children whispered that he could be seen wandering the fog on moonless nights, his light bobbing in the mist. The elders said he was harmless, but also warned that you should never follow his light, no matter how lost you felt. 12-year-old Ellie Barnes didn't believe in ghost stories. She loved exploring, even in the fog. Her parents often told her to be careful, but she liked the mystery of Misty Hollow. One autumn night, when the moon was hidden and the air smelled of rain, Ellie heard something strange, a faint, rhythmic tapping sound outside her window. When she looked, she saw a light moving slowly down the empty street. The lantern keeper. Part 2. The invitation. Ellie knew she shouldn't go outside at night without telling her parents. But something about the way the lantern swayed drew her in. She grabbed her coat, slipped on her boots, and crept out the front door. The fog wrapped around her instantly, cool and damp, muting all sound except the faint crunch of her footsteps. The light ahead moved steadily, always just far enough away that she couldn't see the figure clearly. She called out softly, "Hello?" But the only answer was the gentle creak, tap, creak, tap of what sounded like an old walking stick. The light turned down toward the river. Ellie followed, her heart beating faster. The old bridge groaned under her weight as she stepped onto it. Halfway across, the fog thickened so much she could barely see her own hands. Then the light stopped moving. Out of the mist, a voice came, low, gravelly, and yet strangely gentle. "You're not supposed to be here, child." Ellie froze. I just wanted to see where you were going." The lantern keeper's face came into view. Pale, with deep lines like cracks in old stone. His eyes were shadowed under the brim of his hat, but his mouth curled into a faint, almost sad smile. "You're curious? That's dangerous here," he said, raising the lantern higher. Inside, the flame flickered strangely. Not yellow, but pale blue. "But since you've come this far, maybe you can help me." Ellie swallowed. "Help you with what?" The keeper's voice dropped to a whisper. "The fog is not just weather. Something lives in it. And tonight, it's hunting." Part 3. The Fog Hunter. Ellie shivered. "Something lives in it." The lantern keeper nodded. "Long ago, the river swallowed a ship on a night much like this one. No one survived. Except for one thing that shouldn't have. A shadow with no shape. It hides in the mist, looking for the warmth of the living." Before Ellie could reply, the fog behind her shifted. Not like wind, but like something moving. A long, thin ripple traveled through it, and she heard a faint, wet dragging sound. The keeper stepped closer, his lantern swinging toward the disturbance. "Don't breathe too loudly, it can hear you." Something large loomed in the fog. Ellie caught glimpses. A glistening surface, the hint of long, spindly limbs. Then it was gone, swallowed again by the mist. The keeper turned to her. "We must reach the tower. It's the only place the fog creature can't enter." They hurried across the last stretch of the bridge. The tower door creaked as the keeper shoved it open. Inside, it was warm and dry, lit by dozens of smaller lanterns hung on the walls. Ellie looked around in awe. "Why do you keep so many lanterns?" The keeper's eyes glinted in the light. Because each one holds a piece of the fog prisoner. Part 4. The Keeper's Choice. The keeper explained that the lanterns were not ordinary. Each flame was fed by something called riverlight gathered on the foggiest nights. It trapped the shadow creature's pieces, keeping it weak. But over time, the riverlight faded, and new lanterns had to be lit. That's why I walk the streets, he said. Not to scare the townsfolk, but to keep them safe. Outside, the fog pressed against the tower windows, swirling angrily. A faint, inhuman hiss echoed around the room. The keeper's voice grew urgent. Tonight, it's stronger than I've seen in years. I can't gather the riverlight alone. Will you help me? Ellie hesitated, but something in her heart told her she couldn't walk away now. She nodded. The keeper handed her a smaller lantern. Stay close to me. No matter what you see, do not drop the light. They stepped back into the fog. It closed in instantly, whispering like many voices speaking at once. The shadow moved around them, testing, searching. Twice it lunged, but the blue flames flared brighter, forcing it back. Finally, by the river's edge, they found the source. Faint motes of glowing blue, drifting above the water. Ellie and the keeper worked quickly, catching the riverlight in their lanterns. When they returned to the tower, the fog outside was thinner, the hiss gone. The keeper smiled for the first time. You did well. Misty Hollow will sleep safely tonight. Ellie looked at her lantern, its pale flame steady. What happens to this now? The keeper's eyes softened. You keep it, but remember, if the fog ever grows too thick again, I'll come for you. That night, as Ellie drifted off to sleep, the lantern glowed softly on her bedside table. Outside, the mist curled gently through the streets. And far away, a lone figure walked with his light, keeping watch.